gonna be in English because our guest today is an English speaker, okay? So as you can see today, our guest is Nemanja. Alright, so let me just stop talking and have our guest to introduce himself.
So I'm an ex-flight attendant. I used to work for Emirates Airlines for just a bit over 6 years. And I was in first class for my last 2.5 years, pretty much.
Oh, okay. So how long have you been resigned?
I think it's gonna be almost, it's a year and a half by now.
So let's just jump right into the topic. Like, how did you become a flight attendant? Like, what made you decide to one day just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fly?
I had at my previous work, I had a friend, and she came over and she just told me like, hey, why don't you try for Emirates? And I said like, okay, whatever. I had a free weekend, so I went to the open day. It lasted 2 full days, and they called me about like a month and a half later, and then they said, hey, you got the job, do you want to come? I didn't even actually think about joining Emirates, so I declined. I said, I don't want to go, like, thanks for calling, but that's it. And then fast forward 2 years, the same friend actually told me again, like, hey, why don't you try for Emirates? They're recruiting again, in Serbia, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, fine, I'll go again. And then again, I went through the same open day, passed all the tests or whatever, the whole process. And then they called me again, like that golden call. But this time I said, yeah. And then they told me about, like, I have 3 months to prepare to leave, so which is good because most people, when they call them, they get the golden call, they tell you to get ready for like a month or a month and a half, and then you have to go.
So you actually got the golden call twice.
Yeah.
And then he said no to the first time, which is strange because usually we're gonna just say yes. So yeah, that's cool, that's interesting. Okay, by the way, like, I've known him for a long time. Like, he traveled a lot and lived like in a lot of places, like in Americas and back in South Africa as well.
Zimbabwe.
So yeah, do you think that like, traveling around and then living around will, like, benefit you getting the job as flying attendant?
Yeah, I mean, it helped me because my dad, he's a diplomat, was a diplomat. So we lived in Algeria, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and the States, like Washington, D.C. And pretty much in each place we stayed for 4 years. So that helped me with like my English. Then, I went to like foreign school, and then after every 4 years we would go back to Serbia. So it's kind of like back and forth between countries. But definitely, I had like other experiences, so I think maybe that helped when I was applying.
Mm-hmm. And then you're from Serbia. Was it competitive on your open day, or when you apply? Was it like really competitive?
Yeah, I can't remember the official numbers, but I think it was like between 600 and 700 people applied on the same open day, and they chose 39 of us to go. So, pretty big number of people showed up.
So they chose 39, make it
39,
to Dubai.
Yeah, because they were at that time. That's when the recession that was all over the world, but also in Dubai, because they weren't hiring for the last 2 years. So now they needed new flight attendants like right away. So they kind of went for it. But still, out of 700, the 39 of us, I mean, it was not easy. Yeah.
But in Vietnam it's like 300 and they get like 5, 6 or even less. So 39 is a big number. We wish that happened in Vietnam. So right now you can just like tell us like a little bit more about your like interview, like the final interview, like how did it go? Because I know like for Emirates, when you did the final interview, it was like 1 hour talking to the interviewer. So how did it go?
Mine, maybe it was a bit shorter. I would say maybe 30 minutes. But it wasn't just one person. I actually had 2 people for the interview. Actually, both of them were the 2 recruiters. So they just they looked at your CV, which you gave on the first day of like open day. By now they have your pictures, and then they start asking a bit more like personal questions. So why do you want to do this? What have you done in your life? Because before that, the whole open day process was just kind of having like an English test, then having group exercises, so they didn't really get to know you, and that's pretty much it. So one was like asking the questions, the other one just like writing something down. I had no idea what. And when the final interview finishes, like, you know, they don't say anything. They just say, okay, thank you, that's it. And you wait for the golden call.
Did you prepare a lot before you went to the interview? Because I know that it's like super competitive all over the world.
I was pretty much relaxed. Plus, like I said, I had the experience from the previous interview. The questions were pretty normal, but you do have to prepare for like those like work-related questions, because they, you know, you can say everything about yourself, but then you don't really expect a question like, you ever mad at your boss? So I never even thought about it. I you know, luckily I made something up on the spot. You know, I managed to find some information in my head, but so that sort of stuff maybe I could have prepared better. But
so you said that a part of your success in the second interview for the, you know, the second time that you got the golden call was because the first time you had those experience, so you became really confident.
Yeah.
So you think that like as a normal person, it's like you need to like, you know, practice a lot to improve your confidence, because there's so many routes in the interview, like the role play, the group discussion, the final interview. So if like just a normal person, they just randomly show up, they will get a lot of like stress.
yeah.
So is that you think is?
I mean, yeah, because you have to understand, like, these recruiters, they get people, I mean, hundreds of people or thousands a month. I mean, depends. Like, when they start recruiting, they kind of go all over the world. So you kind of have to stand out a bit. And at the same time, when you ask me, like, for preparation for the interview, prepare what to say. Like, I think it's really important. Like, for example, when they ask you, why do you want this job? Because if you say, oh, I want to fly, I want to travel the world, you know, I want to meet new people and try other foods, everybody says that.
Everybody said that, yeah. Same.
So it's like
not that different.
Yeah, like, and they know it. And imagine these people, they recruit people like you every single month, so like they hear the same answer all the time. So to them, that's actually not a really good answer. And I remember the first time I went for the interview, which I never knew like what to expect, I said something like that, yeah, you know, I love, well, I actually said that I had experience because I lived before abroad, so I love living in other countries as well. And they actually told me that's not a good enough answer. Try to come up with a more specific one. So, because they were like, no.
Yeah, they're like not impressed because probably they said the same thing.
Yeah.
when they got recruited for Emirates Airline.
I mean, like, what, you know, you apply for an airline, what are you going to do? Of course you're going to travel, and you're going to meet people.
I love meeting new people. I love flying, same old thing. How did you feel when you get the golden call the second time? So like, oh, I'm so over it. I had it the first time already, so I don't really care. Really?
No, this time was completely different. This time, something is changing in my life, and I was like, you know what? I think now I want to move away from Serbia for a bit and try something new. So I actually really wanted to get it this time, and it was winter. It was cold, and you know, when you see those postcard pictures of Dubai, the beach, and all those crazy buildings, I was like, man, I want to be there now. So when they gave me a call, I was like, yes. And I think they tell you, I don't know, maybe it differs like in other regions, but they tell you that it takes up to 6 weeks to call you. So like, if you don't get a golden call in the next 6 weeks from the final interview, that means that probably you didn't get chosen, because they're not going to call you to tell you that you didn't pass. Like, they either call you or you get nothing. So I remember it was the last day, and till 2 p.m. in the afternoon, that's their cutoff point when they call you. Last day of the 6th week, I was on my computer, I'm looking at my phone, nothing, and I checked 2:05 p.m. and I was like, that's it, like, it's over, they didn't get me. And I'm not even joking, I stood up, I went to the bathroom, and as soon as I walked into my bathroom, my cell phone rang, and I was like, no way. So I came back to my room and I saw, like, you know, plus 971, which is the Dubai number. So I picked up, and that's it. They said, you're in.
You crying?
No. But I was just like,
you were such happy, yeah.
Yeah, because because it was very strange. At 1 minute, I was sort of disappointed. Like I wanted the job, but like okay, if I don't get it, it's okay. But at the same time, because I'm in Europe and it's December, so it's very cold, winter, and I was really like looking forward to like a sunnier, beach vibe. So I was kind of hoping to get it, and then when they called, I was like, cool.
So now just fast forward to the training part. Do you find it difficult?
The training when you're in Dubai.
Yeah, because everybody was like so concerned because as Vietnamese we don't really like speak English in like a daily life activity. So it was like, oh, I don't know if I can be able to like make it through the training. So
No, I don't think it's hard. The only difference is because there's like people from all over the world. So like you may be thinking, oh, I don't know if I know English well enough, but trust me, there's like so many nationalities, as you know, different people that know English way less than you. So you're all kind of like in this big group and you're doing everything together. So I think the training itself is not hard. It's just because if you, let's say, we finish with school or you're working now and whatnot, you had to go 5 days a week, wake up at like 5:30 in the morning, the bus comes and picks you up at like 6:30, and then you stay there for, I can't remember, like 8-9 hours.
The whole days, yeah, pretty much.
And then you kind of like, you're having fun stuff like group activities and all that stuff, but then you had like, they were teaching you, medicals and stuff like that. Then the next day they will test you on that. So you're basically, I think it's not hard as in you won't get it. It's just hard because you kind of you're not used to it anymore because you finished, high school or whatever a long time ago. So all of a sudden now you're back into this like studying machine, like, oh, I go to the college, I come back, I study, I pass out, I wake up the morning, and then I keep repeating the same thing for like, I would say the first 3 weeks are the toughest because they're like really hardcore. And then it slowly becomes easier and easier because there's like less and less tests. But even the tests, you should take them seriously. Like if you perform bad, like they can fail you, but they really give you more opportunities to try and pass it. They're not super strict. Like they really want to give everybody an equal chance because they know that not everybody
come from an English speaking country. I also told people like if you already passed through the interview, that means you're good enough to study whatever they throw at you. So just don't worry. As a Vietnamese myself, like all of us, I don't think we ever fail the training. So
yeah, I think in my batch there was like 40-50 of us, and I think only one person failed. But that was a very specific case. It had nothing to do with English. It was just something different.
But I'm just gonna say that you have to try your best to get your dream come true. I think passing the interview is like the most important. Training now is even just something else, like just a little small thing.
It's like school.
Yeah. So really don't have to really worry about it. Now jump onto your first flight. How was it? Do you still remember what flight was it?
Yeah, I remember. Chennai, India. So it's a turnaround flight, meaning we don't land. We land into the country, but we don't stay there. Like you just land for an hour and go back to Dubai again. It was, I don't know, like a bit strange because
it's a busy flight.
It's a busy flight. It was at 3 in the morning, which again, imagine like your first day on the job, you expect like, you start in the morning, like 9 a.m. or something, and all of a sudden I'm trying to stay awake. And then at 3 in the morning you go onto a flight. You have like 10, 15 people that already been working or doing this job for a while. So, and everybody knows that you're the new guy. And then they were nice, they didn't like push me to do anything like right away, because the point of your first 2 flights is kind of to get familiar with the plane, to see how the service goes. So you're kind of not doing anything on your own, you're just like helping others, like.
But you don't really have to work.
You don't,
Based on the rule, but if you're nice, you try to have to know, you know, what's going on.
Because it's better for you to work, because I think literally the official rule is like you just, you know, stand in the back of the plane and watch everybody else work and see how it goes. But the problem is you only have 2 of those days or flights, and after that, if you didn't work at all, your 3rd flight, they expect you to know everything. So, you know, it's like a big deal. So it's better to work because it's really easy, you know. You just have to get familiar with some stuff. I mean, you're just like pulling out trays, giving out drinks, you know, knowing where's what. But you get a hang of it very fast.
Yeah, just to know what everything is in the storage. Okay, cool. So, during your 6 years of flying, like how many countries have you been to? Do you remember?
I have it on my cell phone somewhere. I still keep the list. Let's say it's over 50 something countries for sure, and I think 67 different cities.
I mean, if you're not a flight attendant or if you're not a pilot, how many people on earth can say that we've been to 50 countries?
At the end of the day, it's a really good experience, because now when I think about it, like even maybe all my friends that I know put together till the end of their life, they still, I don't think, are gonna fly to 50 countries, like no way. So I think that's very unique, you know, and like maybe, you know, one day you have a family or kids, you know, you have a story to tell, you know, and it's nice. And maybe sometimes your friends ask you, hey man, me and my girlfriend or me and my friends, you know, want to book a vacation spot, you know, what do you think about this place? And I'll say, oh yeah, I've been there, you know, so.
Yeah, oh, you know it all.
Yeah.
I think it's just like one of those jobs that, like, you know, you travel a lot, and then sometimes people don't know, they just randomly ask you like, oh, so how many countries you've been to? Like, they don't know that you're a flight attendant. So I'm like 60 countries or, you know, 50 countries, and it's like, yeah, whatever, man, you like bullshitting or stuff like that. I'm like, no, I was a flight attendant. And then it's like, oh, okay, then makes sense.
Yeah, because I mean, not only that, but even let's say if you're a normal human being, it's like, okay, if you want to travel to 50 countries, that's a lot of money for tickets. But with the flight attendant job, you travel for free. So it's like really easy way of seeing the world, because everybody wants to fly. But usually, like, you know, oh, I want to see my favorite destination. And maybe that favorite destination is a $2,000 ticket, and you haven't been there for 10 years, like you're trying to get there. And then all of a sudden, everything happens like in 1 year. You know?
Okay, another question really like commonly asked, because you know I'm a girl, so I don't really have like the ability to answer all of the guys' question that want to be flight attendant. Okay, so one question for you is how do you feel like as a guy? Is this for you? Do you think that it's difficult, like more difficult to get the flight attendant job than girl, or just same?
I think it depends on the airline, like depending what they need, because obviously I think every airline in the world, there's always going to be less guys than girls. Like that has to be. It's just one of those jobs that has more female workers. But on the flight, no, it was cool. You know, it was nice. I mean, sometimes I was the only guy. You know, that happens a lot, because I think legally there has to be one male cabin crew on the flight. But sometimes I just had like weirder flights, like 8 guys and like 5 girls. So you never know. But I think it really depends on like them, the airline, because sometimes maybe they look at the percentage of the cabin crew in total they have. So they say, hey, listen, we really have too many girls only. Like we need to start hiring a couple of guys. So that's how they do it, I guess.
Well, anyway, personally, I think if you are the one, like the person that they wanted to hire, then they will just hire you, no matter you're like a guy or a girl, you know? Yeah. Don't say that guys has less chance than girl, because maybe that's just not those guys that they're looking for. Like if you just, you never know, like fit that profile than what they're looking for, then you get a job.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people always associate like, you know, flight attendant with just like, you know, serving food, but I'm not saying that, of course, there's like a lot of very like, you know, strong females and whatever, and you can do the same thing we do. But sometimes on the flight, you know, you can have disruptive passengers, and
you need guys.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you're like a very small, like a, you know, tiny girl, and then imagine some like guys like whatever, shouting, or he's drunk. In those situations, you want to have a guy on the flight to try and take over the problem.
If that happens to me, I'll run first into the bathroom because I don't think now I'm able to work with this huge guy. I'm like, yeah, okay, guys, come, let's help.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Anyway, okay, because you mentioned some down point of the job, and I just remember somebody put a question on my previous episode. They asked a lot of people mention the good point, the positive, the roses and stuff like that. So what are those down point? What are the other sides of the job during your 6 years of flying experience?
Well, some obvious downsides are, for example, flying time. Everybody thinks that you're gonna fly some normal hours, but actually a lot of time you're gonna be either have to wake up at 2 in the morning or 3, or maybe actually you're taking off. So depending on your body clock, for example me, I could never sleep before those early morning flights. I just can't, that's it. So I kind of go tired on the flight, and we have espresso machines and all that stuff. So we drink Red Bull, something to keep you awake. Or some flights can be quite long, like US, so they can take a toll on you. So that's about it. What else? Downsides.
Okay, sometimes you work with people from other part of the world, so maybe sometimes culture different. Was it difficult, or it's just easy to work it out?
Well, for me it was okay, but yeah, it depends. Every flight, or should I say every destination, has specific type of passengers most of the time. So you kind of know when you're going to one country what to expect from another country, but you kind of prepare yourself for that. Of course, in the beginning, you don't know anything, so you're kind of just going with the flow. Everything's the same. But usually people are okay, there's really not that much trouble on the plane. Just kind of try and get them what they need, and if you're trying to be more on friendly terms with them, I think they appreciate and respect that much more than if you're kind of like a servant, because then they start treating you like a servant. They expect you to do stuff for them. But if you're kind of talking to them like a buddy, then they feel much more comfortable, and they're always smiling and relaxed, and
yeah. Keep in mind, flight attendant not is just the people who serve you food. No, we was more than that. We take care of you in terms of emergency. Who are you gonna listen to in emergency situation? Your flight attendant. We take care of you when you're sick on the flight. We were trained for everything that possibly happen. We also firefighter. Yeah. We babysit sometimes as well.
Deliver babies.
And we also cook. So it's everything. So there's no way of treating your flight attendant like a servant, because we way more than that. We the authority in the air.
Yeah. Well, even me when I was applying, that's what I thought. I want to travel the world, but I thought my role is I don't care. I'm just gonna serve food and that's it. That's what flight attendants do. But actually, they tell you specifically, as a flight attendant, your main duty is safety and security. So that's, the plane needs to be safe to take off during landings as well, during the cruise phase. Meal service, that's part of the flight, people need to be fed, but that's not your main purpose. It's safety and security, because some stuff can go wrong, and then who else is gonna, we're the only ones legal to operate anything on the plane. You as a passenger are not allowed to touch anything, only we are, so who else to trust?
Let's just move into a bit more fun topic, because we've been talking serious the whole time. Okay, so is there any the funniest memory that you remember during your long time of flying?
Well, I think usually the funniest, whatever, it always has to do with the passengers. That's it, the crew you fly with, you're all friends, you're a team, so whatever. But
I told people before, it's kind of funny because it's strange, maybe the pressure change, when you go higher, because people tend to act funny or different when they get onto the aircraft. When on ground, it's not like that. When they just got into the aircraft, it's acting really funny. Yeah.
Well, now I remember 2 cases. One was going to Hong Kong, and the other one was Japan flight. I think it was like Osaka. And going to Hong Kong, I had at first like the passengers boarded, and you know, like everybody looks normal, and then all of a sudden I went to the front of the cabin of economy, and I was coming back, and then I see like a bunch of Santa Claus people, dressed like Santa Claus with beards and like red hats. But then I found out and actually took a picture with them. They are a group, like a big group of Santa Claus teachers. So they're going to a big Santa Claus convention in Hong Kong, and that's, I'm guessing, where they all gather around and they teach each other, you know, tips and tricks how to be the best Santa Claus in the world. So I think 50 people all had like beards and red hats. And then for the Japan trip, I found out like later after service, because I saw everyone was at the back of the plane. I'm like, what's happening? We had over 200 magicians. So same thing, they're going on a convention somewhere in Europe or whatever, and they were just showing us, you know, normal, you know, card tricks, coin tricks, but basically, yeah, street musicians, and like over 200 of them.
Yeah, talking about that, like people with like different backgrounds and profile, I did encounter a lot of celebrity on the Emirates flight as well, especially when I was in business class, like, you know, and you were in first class, so you met even more people. So is there any celebrity that you remember? I remember on my flight there was Alicia Keys and singer from the
LMFAO?
Yes, that one. Sorry, I don't listen to the music.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's him and a bunch of footballers as well, like, you know, football player from all over the world.
Yeah.
Not like this, so hot.
I met David Coulthard. He used to be a driver for Formula One, and he's still actually in the Formula One business as a commentator. James Button, same thing, Formula One driver. I had a bunch of football players, depending, like if we were flying somewhere during World Cup or some Premier League. I had 50 Cent, and who else? I don't know, there's like quite a few. I mean, so many. And besides celebrities, I had actually a lot, because in first class we had lots of royalty. So like the Princess of Iran, the Sheikh of Dubai, stuff like that.
Yeah, so just one of those flights that you get celebrity on your flight most of the time, but in like a higher class, like business or first class, of course. Cool. So let's just move on to the last question. Do you have, by any chance, any advice to the future flight attendant, like guys, because you're like a guy?
Yeah, I mean, just like whenever you're applying for this, you should definitely be like more confident in talking, because especially when it comes to the final interview, they're gonna be looking at that, you know, like how you answer your questions. So if you're a more quieter person, definitely go out and get some hands-on experience. You know, you need to practice more like with people, you know, because in the end of the day, the job is to talk to a lot of people, and they expect you to be like friendly and very talkative. And that's like one of the things that we're gonna be doing at our course, is teach you the body language, and then through group exercises, just like how to confidently speak and approach people, and problem solving. So also group exercises, which will help you a lot, because once you're comfortable in an environment that you can speak with a group of strangers, when it comes to the final interview, then you're gonna probably speak one-on-one. So it should be like much easier for you to deal with that person, and I think it's gonna help you out a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. Like there's a lot of information on the internet, like everybody can find the same information, but how can you know what information will be good for you, you know? It can be good for other people, it doesn't mean it'll be good for you. And sometimes you're like so confident on your own, what in your friends or whoever that is, but then in like a room full of people, strangers, all of the seminar, they are all like foreigners, you know, like English speaking countries and stuff, so you feel a lot of like intimidation.
Yeah, you can be stressed out at the same time, but I mean, that's why we mainly focus on the group exercises, so that people will, you know, they have to talk together. You know, you cannot be the silent type, so we're gonna try and make you fit into kind of like the golden middle.
Yeah, let us say thank you for the advice that you like giving all of us. I'd like to say thank you for being here today, for this interview particularly, to share experience with my viewers, my lovely viewers. Oh yeah, so there's many of you guys was asking me about like my course collaborates with Wings Lab. Lin and also Nemanja gonna be in the course here. Like he's like an English speaker, so he can just like help you guys with correction of words and vocabularies and stuff like that. And plus, he has 6 years experience in first class, so he kind of know what he's doing. Anyway, and also a lot of people asking about like when the course is gonna start. So our international airline preparation course for Emirates, Etihad and Qatar will start on the 17th of this
July.
month, like 17th of July, and will be finished by 24th of July this month. And I think that gives you 1 week before you go to Jakarta for the Emirates Open Day. So I think that's like good timing for you guys and also for us as well.
And I mean, at the same time, you know, it's not only for the Jakarta date. Like, for example, if for some reason you cannot make it on that date, I mean, the knowledge that we serve you, you can use it for any other future interview, whether it's any other international airline and whatnot.
Yeah, and I know, like in the future, maybe Etihad and Qatar, they might recruit it over and over again more often than Emirates. So yeah, for your information. Anyway, I would like to say thank you so much for watching this video today. Follow us, Wings Lab.
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook. That's where we got all the latest information, recruitment dates, information about our class. So yeah.
If you have any question, any request, anything, just leave it in the comment box below for me to read. And then yeah, I will try to make another episode next month with like a Vietjet crew or someone like that. So be looking out for that. Yes. Alright, that's all I have for you today. See you in the next video. Bye.
Otherwise, that's it, guys. See you next video.
Like, don't say otherwise, because that means like, or, so say anyways.
Flying experience.